Well, as you know, the political landscape, well, it continues to merge in any and every way possible. At issue now, progressives really frustrated with President Biden for embracing bipartisan border security deals. Here to discuss that and so much more, I'm pleased to say that I'm joined by none other than our good friend, Mr. Daniel Lippman at Politico. Daniel, always a pleasure to see you, sir. Welcome back to the program.
Thanks for having me.
So you heard me just touch on it with regard to progressives up in arms, if you will, and frustrated with President Biden for embracing this potential bipartisan border security deal. For folks that are really hearing about this for the first time, what do you say to this?
Yeah, clearly there is a discontent on the left because they wanted Biden to be a very pro-immigration president, and for the first few years, he mostly was. But now you have a president who is talking about shutting down the border, which is rhetoric that you would hear from Donald Trump. And so progressives who expected Biden to be on their side as their ally, they feel like they are not going to be very happy with what is happening because it is an election year and the border crisis has spiraled out of control that progressives didn't even think was possible in terms of the high numbers of people crossing the border illegally. And so Biden is forced to respond because of the polls and his desire to, of course, stay in office and not get booted out because of an issue that has really dogged him in the last few years.
Yeah, you just touched on President or former President Trump, I might add, and the word is that in essence he is hoping that this fiasco, if you will, continues until or if he becomes president. Mainly saying that if Biden can't fix it, I can, and all the shine and glory will lie with me.
That's exactly basically his message. He is saying he wants Republicans not to cooperate on Capitol Hill, that they should reject any deal that is being worked on unless it is 100% what they asked for, Republicans. But that's, of course, not how negotiations work on Capitol Hill. This is a democracy, and we don't have one party, supermajority in both houses of Congress. And so it's natural for Republicans and Democrats to work together on an issue that affects America. But you saw James Lankford, the Republican senator from Oklahoma, say that because it's an election year, Republicans are less likely to want to hand Biden a win on this. And so it's tough sledding over there to get that deal inked.
Yeah, as we switch gears here, we have all been following the coverage of the three American soldiers killed by a militia group backed by Iran. Word is that President Biden now plans to strike back in several ways, one of which being a cyber attack rather. What do you say to that as well?
No, clearly that there is a lot of hunger to respond after these three brave American heroes were killed. And so we need to deter Iran in any way we can. But we also don't want to get in a wider war with that country. They have a lot of resources. They are funding Hezbollah. They have helped out Hamas. They are funding the Houthis, which have hurt world shipping in the Red Sea. And so they are looking at all options, and they want to do a targeted strike or strikes. But I don't think we should not expect that we're going to be sending hundreds of thousands of troops to occupy Iran. Look at how that worked out in Iraq and Afghanistan. So there's not much appetite for that here in Washington.
Yeah, well, it's evident that the president is also catching a lot of flack for the time frame in which he responded to these three American brave soldiers that actually died. Are your viewers or your readers, rather, actually saying anything about that? Have you all publicized or published anything with regard to addressing that?
We've definitely talked to Republican senators and congressmen on Capitol Hill who echo those sentiments, and they think that Biden has been weak on this issue and that they should have responded a long time ago. But you have to recognize also that there weren't fatalities until a few days ago. And so in a tit-for-tat strike, we don't want to basically kind of burst the peace that we have with Iran, and we don't want to be overly respond when it was not proportionate. And so we need to be proportionate. That's what, if you talk to military experts, that's what they say. Usually the Pentagon is the last people who want to go to war because they know the costs. And so it's a reminder that we do have troops in the Middle East, thousands of troops, even though we don't really hear about them very often since they are not in the headlines.
All right. Once again, Mr. Daniel Lippman with Politico, thank you so much for joining us right here on the Fox 5 Live Zone. We truly appreciate it.